I have met in life the kind of people who feel very bad for whatever horrible deeds happened in history by the hands of their ancestors or against their ancestors. They would visit tombs of their ancestors' enemies and tombs of their own enemies and of their own ancestors. And they would pray. They would wonder what there would be to be done. And I told them, see, every time you think about your ancestors, just smile. And they were even some were frustrated. Like, how can you smile when everything was so horrible? See, everything was horrible back in those times. Those were the periods of time. That was their awareness. If we are to think a bit about it, everyone does the best they can based on their own awareness. That's how things were back then. We don't have to carry the misery of those old times on our backs in these times because it's not the same time. Surely misery functions the same exact way. It never evolves. It changes a bit its style and you know, the way it spreads, but the reasons, the meanings, and the such will always be the same. Depending on the level of awareness, misery will always act the same way. And I told them, when you think about your ancestors, whether enemies or whatever, those were in those times. Always smile in the end, because when you smile, you show your ancestors that their horrible deeds, whatever has happened in those times, did not break you right now. Because obviously, the last thing your ancestors would want is someone far after them being broken by what they did. Be sure that there were people back then that also suffered and thought how much their deeds would influence the future. But we live in times when we have to take decisions on our own. Let the ancestors rest their rest because they have done whatever they could. In the end, whatever conquest they have done, whatever genocides they have done, you nowadays wouldn't have been here without all those deeds happening. Whether it was your ancestors who did it, or your ancestors who suffered by that, or both of those, it matters not. We all carry the whole history of our forefathers within our karmic structure, within the consciousness that we bear. Some are more sensitive and suffer more, some are less sensitive. Everyone has to experience whatever they have to experience in life. But smiling before your ancestors shows that whatever deeds happened to them did not break you. And whatever, most importantly, whatever happened in your life did not break you. Because the last thing that your ancestors would want is yet another weakling in the chain of evolution. Because in the end, things have to go to hell so that they can ascend to heaven. Yes, if you look at the Christian wisdom, the so called Redeemer of Christianity had to descend to hell to save people, and then he ascended back to the heaven, while he also lived, let's not forget, a human life. I am not a historian. I am not sure whether these things were real entirely or not. It is not my point to interpret, but I reserve the right to simply um, not discard, but question things presented by the establishment. Because we're seeing nowadays more and more that everything presented to us has been mystified in history. The entire history of the world was mystified. So wouldn't we be surprised if suddenly we find out Jesus never existed and it was all just some kind of lie? It is a possibility that we do not yet know. So when thinking too much about your ancestors, do not worry that much, because your ancestors are sleeping their eternal rest. Let them rest. Some of them may already have reincarnated a few times since their times till now. Some of them may be close to you or not. That is not our point of view to worry about. Whatever happened was then, whether we cry about it, whether we feel good about it, whether we smile to it. It won't change the past in any way, shape, or form, but it will change our life and how we see things. Because if the only thing we do in life is to simply look at things and make a misery out of those, we make it so that our life becomes used to it and we will crave it even more. You have one simple life. You're just like a little fart in this cosmic set of events. Whether you choose to stink and to make a horrible sound, that is your choice. or whether you choose to leave something behind you, whether you choose to simply live a life, and in the end, why would it matter to you whether you die well known or not? The most well known of people were not buried with the greatest honors. The traitors were, and others who served the sick society. Yes, the people who did something, they were soon forgotten, because when misery becomes accustomed to, everyone starts dancing their dance of misery, the dance of their own decadence, and everyone who is different will simply be shunned away, because nobody wants to stop dancing. Yes, these are times when madness is simply being pierced by normality, and things will have to change. Everyone in this world will have to adapt. There are new energies coming in. There will be aliens that we will be meet. There will be things beyond the mundane existence, and many will change. Of course, people who still dance the dance of their ancestors, the dance of the dead mind, the dead soul, the absent spirit, they will not stop dancing because they've been doing this their whole life. It is hard to stop doing it, yes. So they will still do that. But many people will simply go crazy because they will not want to embrace the change, they will fight against it, and they will only hasten their demise by that. Just remember to protect your energy because you will see even more attacks specifically on you. Spiritually, physically, mentally, everything will be more draining, more toxic, and as such. Everything has to go to hell so that it starts ascending. All this being said, take care, enjoy life. And this being said, Ferenc Board signing out.